Hello and welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia, Makina's route. Last time, Yuuji visited Makina's mother, the head of the Irisu clan, in order to make her stop the harassment and terrorization of Makina, mostly done by the branch family. But as she told Yuuji, it was not certain that her subordinates would listen. After that, Amane called Yuuji while on a shopping trip and told him that Makina's bakery was on fire. Makina overheard this and ran completely in shock and horror to see for herself, with Yuuji following after to keep her safe. Now, let's continue. Normally Makina is so clingy it's outright irritating, but every once in a while she'll suddenly disappear on you. For example, when she gets all stubborn over some small thing and ends up getting in a fight. Or maybe cranky mornings after nights full of bad dreams. When she doesn't want to let anyone see her face, Makina will quietly vanish. But it's not as though the girl melts away into thin air. She always leaves her clues behind. When a woman says, "Don't look for me," it means, "Come find me right now." I think it was my big sister who taught me that when I was still very young. And this discarded sock caught unnaturally in Makina's door is probably her silent "Don't look for me." "Makina, you in there?" Entering Makina's room for the first time, I find it dim and gloomy. I flick the switch on the wall next to the door, but the lights don't come on. A dark, empty room. There's nothing in the way of furniture, none of the daily necessities of life. The girl carried everything she uses regularly into Amane's room, leaving nothing behind here, as if prepared to disappear at any moment. Almost like a cat making its own lonely grave. Aww. Makina's nearly empty room is lit only by moonlight trickling in through the window. When my eyes adjust to find her curled up tightly on the floor, my heart gives a little jump of surprise. It feels almost like I'm looking at myself in the old days, as though the unpleasant memories I've tried to lock away have forced their way into reality. "Makina." I kneel by her side and gently reach out to Makina's cheek, still damp from before she cried herself to sleep. It's warmer to the touch than I expected. When I rest her hand on her small fist, the girl reflexively seizes hold of my fingers and squeezes them tightly, just like an overgrown infant. She can't ask anyone for help. She knows her friends will do everything they can if she does. But even so, she can't ask. Anyone she turns to help will suffer for it, because the girl understands that her lips are sealed. She doesn't want to cause trouble for the people she cares for. It would be too painful to have them grow resentful or exasperated with her weakness. So instead she curls up in a dark place where no one can see her and wishes she was dead. That she dreams of fading away quietly without bothering anyone. When you're warped this badly, an uncertain hand tentatively outstretched can bring nothing but pain. Still, I can't help but reach out to touch her. Even knowing my hypocrisy will hurt Makina, I can't do anything else. In the old days, when I stopped caring about anything, my master simply turned back, reached out a hand and said, "Grab hold." And today, I can only do the same. After that, it all comes down to whether she can find the willpower to take it. Honestly, I'm disgusted with myself. I hate that I don't have any other answers. I want to do something for her. Those feelings churn around fruitlessly in my head, producing nothing but frustration. Before I even know what I'm doing, I take Makina's chin in my hand, then kiss her pink and slightly parted lips. The girl's mouth smells like sugary bubblegum. I've touched these lips several times before, but today they are disturbingly cold. There's something ephemeral about the experience. It almost feels like she'll die unless I warm them up.
"Papa?"
"Did I wake you up?"
"Nah, I was awake."
"You don't say."
"That's the first time you kissed me instead of the other way around."
"Is it?"
"You're okay with kissing me, so why don't you ever take things any further?"
Because I'm your father, I'm not going to do anything you don't want me to.
It's okay, you know. I wouldn't say no. Not to you.
All of a sudden, the somber atmosphere seems to transform completely. Makina is not exactly a girl who you associate with the word seductive. Her childish innocence practically defines her, but right now she's got a surprisingly dirty twinkle in her eye. No matter how youthful the girl may look, it seems she's at least managed to pick up the slyness of an adult woman. What's this all of a sudden? Did your mother say something?
Nothing really.
I see. Makina doesn't elaborate. Her voice is tinged with resignation, as though she decided that talking won't do any good. That sounds unpleasantly cold to my ear.
You did lots of stuff for me, Papa, so I'll do anything for you. Why don't you have your way with me?
Look, Makina. I heave a brief sigh, scratching my head in bemusement. Just like women want that sort of emotional connection and comfort level, men need their reasons and excuses to sleep with someone.
Do you really need a reason to have sex with a girl?
It's easy enough to take advantage of overwrought women, but it's sort of a matter of pride.
Me saying I want you to sleep with me isn't good enough?
If you sleep with a man just to distract yourself, you'll end up regretting it.
I won't regret this. Even if I do, you can just say I told me so and laugh.
As she speaks, Makina puts both her hands on the wooden floor and lurches unsteadily up off the ground. Hey. I reflexively reach out a hand to support the girl as she wobbles precariously, but she wards it off with a little slap.
I can get up by myself. I'm not a child.
Isn't being pointlessly stubborn over things that more than a little childish?
I'm not a child. I'm not.
Makina makes it to her feet, unsteady as a newborn foal, and leans back against the window with a thump. Then reaches her small stubby hands to her collarbone, seizing the ribbon of her school uniform.
Well, I'm not a child, right?
Ah, I see. Actually, I'm having a hard time following the logic here. The first word that comes to mind is underdeveloped. The band and bust have grown differently, producing the so-called triangular shape. To be blunt, she's got small breasts. If I were to yell, "You're not making a convincing case here, kid," and deliver a karate chop to the dome of her head, this runaway train will probably come crashing to a halt. But you got to give the girl credit for her effort and courage, right? Taking in the spectacle, I nod my head in approval of nothing in particular.
Hey, Papa. Sleep with me.
Say what? This little punk. I'd always known she was cheeky, but now she's actually trying to seduce me.
Maybe you're not interested? Don't want to sleep with a girl like me? I'll let you do anything you want, you know.
I was wondering where this was coming from. Sounds like she might have gotten a few ideas from Armani. Well, no. Shouldn't pass the buck. I'm the one who made her say this. You're really ready for this? When I pull her close, I feel Makina's warmth settle in my arms. After the last few days, it's already a familiar sensation. Holding the girl like this inspires both guilt at having finally made her mine, and a new, surprisingly powerful awareness of her as a woman. Her shoulders are slender, her head small against my chest, not exactly voluptuous, and she doesn't make much of a pillow. But I can feel my determination to keep this soft little creature safe growing even more absolute. There are two times when a woman will start making particularly unreasonable demands. The first is when she wants to confirm that a man loves her, and the second is when she decided to leave that man. I'm pretty sure what happened last night with Makina falls into the latter category, so when I wake up to find she is no longer lying at my side, I'm not particularly flustered or even surprised. I see. She left her. If anything, resigned might be a better word. Most likely, Makina has decided not to trouble anyone, to go off and fight all alone. I talked pretty damn big about becoming a father, but in the end, I guess I couldn't do much of anything for the girl. Even so, maybe my presence in her life helped Makina find the courage to stand on her own like this. That pathetic self-serving theory is my only comfort right now. Makina. When I mumble her name, there's a sharp twinge of loneliness in my chest. The thought of never feeling that small body settle onto my lap again makes me sigh out loud. If she's made up her mind to go, there's nothing I can do. If she decided to confront them all on her own, it's not my place to interfere. But did you really have to vanish without saying a word, Makina? I'm not going to start complaining about something you decided on your own, and I'm not thoughtless enough to try tagging along on the road you want to walk alone. Well, I mean, not that I wanted you to imitate a certain shaggy-headed German woman and write bye-bye on the window in lipstick or anything. Seem to remember that making me less sentimental and more irritated. But still, would it kill you to say, I'm going now, to my back as I pretended to sleep or something? Shame the girl vanished before I could teach her that sort of romantic etiquette. The only thing Makina's left behind in this room is a faint trace of her sweet body odor lingering in the air. Looking more closely, there's actually a few pieces of junk the girl seems to have carried in here at some point. Hadn't even noticed. When leaving a man's room, a woman's supposed to carefully gather up all her belongings, then toss a single earring under the bed. Guess nobody explained that to her either. But I guess it's going to be a while before I can teach you anything again. Hi-ya! My maudlin thoughts are interrupted by a shout from the lobby outside. I look up reflectively. This idiotic voice, completely wiping out the motivation of all who hear it. Thank you for coming. What a bear, you pig. Your phone's ringing. Hurry, pick it up, you pig. Sure enough, a certain individual is rudely thumping away at a giant lump of wheat flour, keeping up a constant stream of abuse in the pidgin Japanese of a foreign hostess. Even in this dormitory, there aren't many people who'd keep up this sort of bizarre behavior first thing in the morning. Makina, why are you still here? Weren't you, going off to have a showdown with your mother or, confront your destiny or whatever? You want more, yes? You pig! Oh, dirty pig! You just bread! Bad bread! Dirty bread! As the girl vigorously assaults the flour while bathing it in abuse, I call out to her small back. Hey, Makina. Mr. President going home already? Okay, goodbye. Thank you. Come again. About face. Han? Don't harm me, kid. What are you snarling about? Oh, surprised me there. If it isn't Mr. President. Since when was I president of anything? What are you doing out here? If you can't tell, look in, you won't understand even if I tell you, princess. Who the hell are you calling a princess? Anyway, it's just what it looks like. I'm eating wheat flour while role-playing as an immigrant hostess. Calling something roleplay doesn't automatically make it kosher, kid. Most likely she picked up that way of speaking from the hostesses that do their shopping by the station, but that job at the bakery really seems to have expanded his sphere of relationships in some slightly weird directions. Hey, you're up for some bread, right? Hold on just a sec, I'll bake a loaf right now. Cheerfully adding, and by a sec, I mean it's gonna take an hour. Makina turns her back to me. Then she begins roughly chopping up the thoroughly degassed dough and rolling it into balls. Tell me something, Makina. What do you want to know? Last night, you talked with your mother over the telephone, right? Yep, that's right. Are you not going to tell me the result? It's not like I was trying to keep it secret or anything, She just said I didn't have to come back if I didn't want to, that's all. You don't have to go back? Is that really what she told you? Guess she's just given up on me by this point. They say rumors only last 49 days and all, right? I bet you she just doesn't give a crap anymore. Okay, for one thing, the saying is 75 days. Oh, was that it? Ah. Is this the time to be cackling like an idiot? Does she really think the problem's been resolved? That we can keep up this peaceful life? The idea is ridiculous. If the situation was simple enough to settle with a quick chat over the phone, things never would have gotten this bad in the first place. I'd love for this calm daily life to go on forever, but unfortunately I got a very strong premonition things are only going to get worse. And for whatever reason, my instincts are regrettably reliable when it comes to things like this. The phone vibrating in my chest pocket is my work cell. When I slowly retrieve it and calmly check the screen, a black A small LED indicates I have a new email. Fighting down the urge to click my tongue in frustration, I take a look at the subject line. From CO to 9029. An official communication to agent number 9029 from his case officer. In other words, a direct order from JB to me. And as for the contents of the message itself. Present yourself at the main office 1400 hours. It's two extremely blunt sentences conveying nothing but the when and where. I check the watch on my left arm. The current time is 12:12. I heave a heavy sigh, then snap my cell phone shut and get to my feet. Ah, Yuuji, good timing. I was just about to go find you myself.
What's up? Need something?
What are you talking about? It's lunchtime.
Oh, lunch, huh?
Are you going out or something?
Yeah, the boss over at my part-time job wants me to stop by the main office.
So, what are you doing for lunch then?
I'll just grab something from a convenience store or fast food place on the way.
You can't wait 5 minutes even? I double-check my watch.
Well, 5 minutes or so wouldn't be a problem.
Okay then, wait here. I'll make you a box lunch.
That's not really...
It'll just take a sec, okay?
Hey.
Well, that woman being pushy isn't anything new. No use fighting it this late in the game. Might as well just wait obediently and save myself trouble later. But 5 minutes later, Aman is not the one who shows up. Papa, you going to work?
Yeah, they called me in for a bit. Shouldn't take long though.
Why'd they call you in? Did you do something bad or what?
Well, nothing really comes to mind. This happens all the time though. Nothing to get worried about.
Really? I don't want you doing anything dangerous behind my back, okay?
It's fine. I said it's nothing to worry about, right?
Yeah. That's it. I was lying when I said nothing comes to mind. They've probably got something to say about that little shooting incident at Mishima Cape's police station. Okay, then work hard out there, okay? Here's your lunch. Apparently satisfied for the moment, the girl rustles around and pulls out a paper sack and hands it to me.
Thanks. What's inside?
M9I4, my newly developed super saturated melon bun, model number 4.
Super saturated?
Yeah, permeated with saturated steam. It's a new method of baking the buns, where you trap lots of moisture inside the form of pressurized water vapor. The outside's crisp and crunchy, but the inside's moist and sticky.
These things are pretty damn heavy.
Unlike your normal buns, it's got a specific gravity about 1.25. First melon bun in the industry to sink in water, you know. The elastic strength is 2.7 times higher, too, so it's got a nice satisfying response when you bite in it.
Not sure if I really understand the details, but it sounds quite like the culinary experience.
The texture's kinda like those mochi cakes with the air bubbles inside, so make sure to chew carefully before you swallow or it might get stuck in your windpipe.
Understood. Alright, I'll be on my way.
Be careful, okay?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I managed to convince her this isn't a big deal, but honestly, it's always a little depressing to get a summons like this. Since JB's actually called me into the office instead of communicating through email or telephone, this is probably going to be a fairly serious discussion. As a general rule, when an older woman gets an earnest look on her face and says, "We need to talk," nothing good's going to come of it. The message from JB just specified the main office as our meeting place. Of course, she didn't mean the actual headquarters of our organization in America, but the Japanese HQ. That's borrowing some space at a little more locally. Getting to the building in question involves catching a civilian railway company train from Mishima Cape, transferring to Japan Railways in Shinagawa, then taking the subway from Yurakucho in Tokyo. Arriving at the station platform with some time to spare, I settle down on the bench, then open the paper sack I received from Makina. Inside, as promised, are a number of bright yellow pastries. They're typical melon buns by appearance, but when I pick one up, it's really bizarrely heavy for its size. Taking the bun in both hands, I open my mouth wide and take a big bite. It's almost like crunching into a cookie and a bagel at once. Certainly a novel melon bun experience. The girl might be onto something. After completing my quick and sugary lunch, I endure the unpleasant train ride into the city, passing the time speculating about the reason I've been summoned. I've been called to headquarters plenty of time before. The first was on the day I returned to Japan. As an employee newly transferred from the United States, I offered a formal greeting to the chief of my new branch office, filled out the paperwork to enroll in a training school where I'd learn how things were done in Japan. My second summons to HQ came after I completed my basic trainings, to arrange my transfer to a more advanced school for my second half of my training. My third summons came when, unable to endure the starvation rations at the advanced training school, a few classmates and I cooked up and ate some carb from the pond on campus. My fourth summons came when they wanted my expertise as SPP, Specialized Proficiency Personnel, testing out some newly developed equipment. And after finishing my second round of training and being deployed into the field, I was called in several times a year to be given some special jobs that weren't recorded in the Japanese office books. In other words, when I'm called to HQ, they're either angry with me or they have an annoying job to foist off on me. Either way, it's nothing to look forward to. After arriving at my stop on the 4 line, I climb out of the subway and cross the bridge lined with cherry blossom trees, and take the fork at the police station toward Yasukuni Street. Within 5 minutes, our front gate comes into view. There's a guard in a smart blue uniform standing at the main entrance. Despite appearances, he's just a rent-a-cop from a private security firm. For what it's worth, there's a security station just inside staffed by actual company employees, but the tools hanging from their shoulders don't have any filling stuffed inside. Always makes me wonder why they feel the need to bother lugging those heavy things around in the first place. Maybe it's a religious thing. In any case, most of the defense systems actually protecting the headquarters are outsourced to a variety of civilian security companies. The guards standing around the lobby are mostly for show, I'd expect. Nestled in the corner of a structure with the romantic name of C Building is the office of my beloved superior, Harudera Yurien, a section chief in the 2nd Division. Not exactly a spacious room, but since JP transferred in as a foreign capital, it was a hard-won prize. This office is a symbol of her successful struggle for a promotion from acting section chief to a formal command. A certain group of boorish individuals have been known to mock this room as the kennel, in reference to the work that goes on in here. But you need a pretty black sense of humor to laugh at that particular joke. Number 9029, reporting in. Even as I offer the standard greeting, my eyes briefly find the room's built-in security camera and confirm that it's currently active. At this characteristic bit of shrewdness on my part, maybe a cowardice is the better word, JB gives a disdainful little snort and looks up at the clock. Timely as always. Well, go ahead and take a seat. Please excuse me. Want anything to drink? I'd appreciate that, thank you. Even though I'm talking to JB, this is the company's main office, and I'm addressing my superior. Can't exactly give her the usual routine. I've always found that a little awkward, honestly. Probably one of the reasons I harbor a mild dislike for this room. JB picks up the telephone on her desk and combs up a stray lock of shaggy blonde hair, then presses the receiver to her left ear. Qa'Rajh, 2 coffees, please. Yes, decaf for me. Even got yourself a secretary now, eh? Cheeky girl. Did you say something? Nope, nothing at all. Perhaps you're hearing things, ma'am. You're making my skin crawl. When you use polite language with me, it just feels like mockery. Forget it, just talk normally. That certainly works for me. Please excuse me. Oh. With a few crisp words, a woman in white uniforms, who's presumably JB's personal assistant, enters the room. At a glance, she's maybe 24 years old, a good bit younger than JB. Her hair is an unusual silvery shade of grey, neatly trimmed. Her skin's dark and her pink painted lips are fairly thick. A good bit of African ancestry, but judging from the big bluish eyes behind her glasses, she's probably mixed race. Couldn't guess her nationality just to look at her. Guess you could call that a fairly representative trait for those in this particular posting. Here you are. The personal assistant places the coffee cup on the table in front of me, her face blank and uninviting. Are you 9029? Yeah, I've been working under that designation for the last few years.
Would you mind letting me shake your hand? The woman holds out her hand with a smile you'd almost think she'd learned from a textbook, but her eyes hold more than a bit of skepticism. The number 9029 has a special significance within this organization. Understandable enough to feel a little dubious about the legendary agent in question being a brat like me. Is it true there's been more than one 9029? How many people had it before you? Thank you, Qa'Rajh. You may leave the room. Also, if you don't mind, maybe we could take a photo later. Qa'Rajh, leave the room. Okay, alright then, see you around. The woman named Qa'Rajh winks a single eye shut behind her glasses and gives her lips a little smack as she leaves the office. I hadn't been particularly conscious of it before, but a certain characteristic of the woman catches my eyes as she saunters out the door. My honoured thoughts escape my mouth. Your secretary's got a pretty big ass. What kind of impression is that? An attempt at sarcasm? Not particularly. Just a straightforward expression of my observation. That's sexual harassment, you know? A superior using the word sexual harassment as a weapon to intimidate men is power harassment, my friend. Ah, you're never at a loss for words, are you? You think? Back in the day, a certain blonde used to complain about me not even answering when spoken to. I guess people really can change. Ignoring JB's incensed glare with a composure born of long experience, I take the paper coffee cup by its cardboard sleeve and bring it to my mouth. Pretty good. Common joke that an officer's field orderly learns more about making coffee than anything else, but it seems there might be a bit of truth to it. And tell me, why'd you come over in your school uniform of all things? We're willing to pay for some decent clothes, you know. Too much of a pain to get changed, that's all. Just a polite fiction, of course. I'm not quite that lazy, but honestly speaking, even if they brought me some Grisaia or Versace or whatever, there's no way I'd be able to pull the look off. For one thing, JB, last time they forced me into a suit to get an updated photo for our internal records, I seem to remember you shouting, "Looks like someone got a big date for middle school prom, ho ho ho!" You didn't call me here to criticize my fashion sense, right? Can we get to the point? Yes, I don't need you to remind me. JB stalks over to the corner of her room, still sporting a sulky frown, to where a hefty little safe sits on the ground. And squatting down in a way that affords me fleeting glimpses of her thighs through the hem of her skirt, she begins to spin the dial installed in front of it. Don't look over here, alright? Not to worry. If I feel the need for a little eye candy, I'll just take another look at that secretary's rear end before I head home. Okay, not what I was talking about. I'm telling you not to memorize the combination. Not to worry. I'm not so starved for female company as to get turned on by a hunk of metal. Not what I meant! You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Right, just a joke. Listening to your jokes is enough to throw off my menstrual cycle. You'll save big on robbers. Enough. Okay, here. Can you still screw around after seeing this? The envelope she's thrust violently before my eyes bears a red stamp reading, "Fax/copying strictly prohibited." When I open it, I find an official order document identified by a serial number. The paper is specially coded. A standard fax or copy machine won't even pick up the characters. On top of which, after a certain period of time, the words will fade to illegibility all on their own. In other words, I can tell without even glancing at the details that this is an extra departmental order. Perfectly official, but completely off our books. The sort of thing that absolutely can't come to light. Again, huh? This isn't the first time I've gotten orders like these. I've had several of these envelopes handed to me, and without fail, their contents have always been assassination missions. High-ranking drug cartel bosses, corrupt politicians with dangerous political leanings. There's quite a difference in terms of social position and status, but individuals or groups determined by the collective will of the nation to pose a significant disadvantage to its interest are quietly and secretly removed from the stage. The nail that stands out gets pounded down, as they say. In an assassination of that sort, sniping is a fairly common method. Typically, several shooters are assigned to the same task. As with a firing squad, it's an attempt at easing the conscience by making it impossible to know who fired the killing shot. But even so, murder is murder. Hey JB, I can't kill people anymore. You know that, right?
Of course I do. After all, it's the reason you ended up on the reserve duty. I've participated in several assassinations of this sort previously, but I'm fundamentally a coward. When it comes to taking human lives, I'll hesitate just as much as a normal person. No matter what kind of evil, worthless scum I'm looking at through my scope, my finger freezes up for the moment when I try to pull the trigger. That's a fatal defect for a sniper. Even so, when my master was alive, I managed to kill without thinking too much. When I told myself I was putting the trigger in Asuko's place, when I told myself that even a piece of garbage like me could be useful to Asuko this way, I could fire without worrying about a thing. And when the job was over and I went home, Asuko was there to embrace me and say, "Well done." She was there to confirm that I'd done the right thing. But Asuko's gone. The person who bore the curses of the dead in my place is gone now, and she can't be replaced. Unless the words come from someone who stained their hands with blood, they can't offer me the slightest comfort.
JB, I'm sorry, but you're not good enough. You know that perfectly well yourself, don't you?
A sniper who can't pull the trigger is right up there with a radio that can't make a sound in the irritating, useless junk department. That's a good part of the reason I ended up on reserve in the first place.
Why would you even bother showing me this now?
I said I understand, didn't I? Calm down and look at the name of our mark.
What?
Target Irisu Makina.
Hey, what is this?
It's exactly what it looks like. The target of this mission is a classmate attending your school, Irisu Makina.
You can't be serious. What the hell's going on?
Don't pry into the reasons. That's part of our job as well.
Why would Makina be? Who's the client?
I don't know that myself, and there's certainly no need for you to know either. In the end, I'm only middle management, passing instructions from the top to the pawns such as yourself. And you simply obey those orders. Or am I wrong? She's not wrong. That's exactly how it is. JB brought me this job knowing full well that I can't kill, knowing about my relationship with Makina. At this rate, the girl's definitely going to be erased one way or the other. Is JB telling me I should be the one to do it? That if Makina has to die, dispatching her personally would be the kindest way? Or maybe this whole summons is nothing but a facade and JB's sole objective was to tip me off to the threat of Makina's life in the form of an order. Whatever the case, I can't keep my shock from showing on my face. Why is this happening? Resisting the urge to grind my teeth, I lower my gaze to the document in hand. The field where the issuer of the order would usually be named is blank, but nonetheless there are 3 stamps of authorization below.
A tripartite order.
This sort of shady job usually comes with Akasaka's approval alone, but this time we got the full set. In other words, this mission was undertaken on the mutual agreement of Akasaka, Ichigaya, and Kazumike Kaseki. Definitely not something you see every day. That's how it is. In other words, we can take a fairly flashy approach if necessary. Everyone will cover for us.
Why are you showing the thing to me?
You know perfectly well, don't you? As this mission was authorized by Akasaka, I am required to prepare the very best and most appropriate talent available to me. To the best of my knowledge, no one's better suited to the job than you.
You want me to kill a classmate with my own hands? You've got some nerve, you shaggy-headed dim-witted.
If telling me off improves your mood, then feel free to say whatever you want. However,
you want a clear yes or no, right?
Exactly. Although it should probably go without saying, for a mission carried out with this level of secrecy, you're not typically going to get a briefing on the specifics before you accept the job. When the plan is going to be executed, where it will be put into operation, who's participating, how many teams will be committed, you don't know a single thing in advance. Once you've listened to the plan in full, saying, "I think I'll pass after all," isn't going to fly. In the first place, an agent only needs to understand their specific job. The broader circumstances aren't any of our concern. When you're appeased on the board, only 2 things are requested of you: the willingness to do what you're told and the ability to make it happen. Your personal circumstances aren't worth shit. There's no compromise option. It's a yes or no, one or the other. What an unpleasant expression. Staring into my face, JB mumbles the words quietly.
At the moment, I probably got the look of someone who spotted a loathsome insect scuttling along the floor and crushed it emotionlessly. An unattractive mixture of disgust and cold-blooded cruelty. It's an expression you get used to seeing after spending enough time in this company. The expression of someone enduring injustice, resigned to ugly reality. The expression of an agent. There are two choices open to you. Will you undertake the assassination of Irisu Makina, or will you pretend to have seen nothing and leave this room immediately?
Do I have to make that choice right now?
Due to the nature of the mission, I can't exactly allow you to go home for the day and think the matter over at length. All the more so, given that you're currently residing in the same facility as the target. If you were to refuse the participation in this job at this point, we'd have to take you into custody for the time being.
Well, yeah, I'd imagine so.
In other words, the moment I saw that document, the number of options available to me was essentially reduced to one.
The answer is yes.
A wise decision. A tinge of relief in her voice, JB softly exhales the air in her lungs, then peers into my eyes as though searching for some reassurance of my loyalty. Can you swear that on the stars and the stripes?
Yeah, I'll swear it on the flag.
Alright, in that case, you can leave for today. I'll contact you as soon as the details are decided.
Understood.
I promptly stand from the sofa and click my heels sharply together.
Number 9029, resuming normal post on semi-alert status.
JB averts her eyes from my steady gaze slightly, briefly glancing at the surveillance camera installed in the corner of her office. Most likely, they had staff standing by watching the monitor in real time as precaution against me refusing the order. Pretending not to notice, I raise my head from the salute, then promptly leave the room. Well then, what to do? I'd been prepared for something ugly, but not to suddenly find myself placed on the side of those hunting Makina. That said, it's not like the current situation was completely outside the realm of my speculation. Considering the power and influence of the Irisu family, I'd vaguely hypothesized a scenario like this might be a possibility. Most likely, Akasaka is playing the large role in this one. Uncle Sam, the father of post-war Japan, kindly allowed us to develop wealth and influence under the banner of freedom and democracy. And the people running the show in Nagatacho still haven't managed to move out of Dad's basement. I glance at the watch on my left wrist. 14:23. Seems that meeting JB's office actually took less than 30 minutes. Coming to a halt a little ways before the bridge I crossed on my way here, I glance over at an outpost of a certain hamburger peddling multinational corporation.
This sort of food isn't bad every once in a while.
Muttering this blatantly artificial comment to no one in particular, I enter the fast food restaurant. Then make straight for the register, ordering the company's namesake burger, a side of french fries and an iced coffee. After paying in advance, I take my drink and ticket and settle in a seat by the window. The street outside is not especially busy at the moment, only a few passers-by. Among them, I notice a businessman of some sort standing in front of the bridge with his shirt sleeve rolled up and a jacket tucked under one arm. He's pressing a cell phone to his ear, obsequiously bowing his head over and over.
Talking to his boss or a client. Either way, he won't be hanging around there for too long.
Eventually, a member of the restaurant's floor staff comes over with my food on a plastic tray, exchanging it for the ticket in my hand. After a few rigorous bites into my burger, I glance out of the window again, only to find that the businessman who has been desperately apologizing into his phone has already taken his leave. Been a while since I had a meal like this. Pretty tasty, but not exactly I'd want to eat every day. Not bad, more or less sums it up. Once I've washed down the overly juicy hamburger with my iced coffee, I quickly shovel the french fries into my mouth. Then put my tray away and promptly leave the restaurant. I glance at my watch again. 14:31. 7 minutes in there. After making my way briskly back to the station, I take the stairs 2 at a time and slip my way into the premises. Once I descend to the appropriate platform, I walk all the way to the far end, boarding the very first car of the subway train that arrives with perfect timing. Since it's early afternoon, the subway isn't exactly crowded. I only count 6 passengers in the lead car, including myself. Ignoring the numerous empty seats, I turn around and open the door in the back of the carriage, and make my way on into the next car. And there I find... Thought so. The man who'd been kowtowing into his phone by the burger place seems to have caught this train as well. He's wearing the jacket formally under his arm, and his formally swept back hair is now parted horizontally, but it's definitely him. The man catches his breath for a moment when I meet his eyes, but after I offer him a quick smile and nod, he jerks up one side of his mouth and furrows his brows in an expression of wry resignation. Well, guess it's only what you'd expect. The company might have allowed me to go home, but they are not quite soft enough to let me wander off alone. Under the circumstances, it's only natural that they have someone keeping an eye on me. Would you mind if I take that seat? Go ahead. There are empty seats all over the train, but I settle myself right down next to the man. This way, he won't have to bother pretending to read a newspaper while shooting me little glances out of the corner of his eyes, a little gesture of professional courtesy on my part. Leaning back next to my new friend, I sink calmly into the thought while pretending to study an advertising monitor above the exit. Since my immediate orders were to stand by, it's probably safe to assume there's going to be a few days of preparation before Makina's assassination is carried out. I want to believe they're going to approach this very carefully. 1 day on standby, 1 day for us to learn and absorb the details of the operation, 1 day for ordering and provisioning the necessary equipment and machinery, 1 day for general review and familiarizing ourselves with the equipment. Even estimating fairly generously, I've gained 4 days at the longest. If I had turned down the job, the company would have simply locked me down and given it to another agent. I've bought myself a little time here, and now I need to use it to find a way out of this mess. That's it. Given the current situation, I'm not going to find any answers no matter how thoroughly I think this over. I'm suffering from an obvious and crippling lack of information. I can't even see my enemies. There's no harder way to fight a battle. And with that, we shall end the episode here. So we shall see what happens when Yuuji gets back. But that's all for next time, so until then, take care.